One show you worked on that my viewers will be very familiar with is Super Milkchan, which has appeared on Adult Swim. It's kind of different from some of the anime that has appeared in the U.S. What has the public response been to it?
It's really strange. We did two versions of Milkchan. Milkchan is a very old Flash animation show that was done a long time ago, and one of the challenges with Milkchan is it pokes fun at Japanese pop culture and Japanese celebrity culture. So in order to do that in the United States, that text had to be updated with people that American kids would be familiar with. There are people that hated it, there are people that loved it. The funny thing is, the Americanized version was not the version they showed to the Adult Swim audience. In fact, the version that aired is the direct translation, which confused a lot of people because there are references to things that people don't understand, but from what I understand, the audience that found that think that's the quirky, weird part of the show. So, we used to joke around that the only way you can enjoy the new Milkchan is after a few glasses of wine, but there are a whole group of people that found it odd enough and found an audience that way. But there are two very different versions of it, and for anybody that doesn't like it, I would say give the other version a chance before you write it off. But it's a strange thing, and it's always weird to have a show on Adult Swim. It's the third show I did work on Full Metal Alchemist, and now Trinity Blood, where I play the Pope of all things, the blue-haired Pope. It's always weird because that is a much larger audience than a traditional anime release will get attention. So I don't know. I think that it's funny how many people did like it because I thought it would be a very small niche audience, but a lot more people liked it than I thought.
You also have a very successful career in New York City, other than acting. What exactly is that?
I don't know if it would be considered a career or not. I think I had probably one of the biggest highlights of my musical roots. I was invited to perform at the Knitting Factory this year in New York City, which, as a music fan, as somebody that grew up listening to Patti Smith and the Ramones and a lot of the American punk rock legends, a name that you hear constantly mentioned is the Knitting Factory. The Knitting Factory. Everybody who's anybody has played at the Knitting Factory in New York. And both Mari Ijima and I did, it was like a night of music that was in conjunction with New York Comic-Con, which was a huge success last year. And so, to me, it was a huge accomplishment because I was not just touching the stage where Laurie Anderson or Diamante Gallis or someone famous had performed. I was performing on that stage, and so it's really neat. The phenomenal thing about that is the Knitting Factory is not traditionally a place where DJs play. It's a live music venue, and walking in, several of the bartenders didn't seem like they were too excited, but I'm a very there's as much showmanship in my DJing as there is in a normal musician, and I definitely like to keep the crowd energetic. And by the end of the night, the bartenders were sending me drinks, and they were all having a good time. And they're like, hey, if you're ever back in New York City, you got to come by, and maybe we'll get to party with you again. So it was a big success for me, personal success. But anime has opened the door for me as a DJ. I was a DJ way before I did this, and because I travel around the country, because this has opened doors for me musically, I'm getting invited to perform at bigger and bigger venues and stuff like that. So I don't know if I would say I have a career in New York yet. My brother did, but it was quite an accomplishment for me to perform at the Knitting Factory. I nerded out just when I stepped on the stage.
So as a DJ, what kind of music do you like?
Wow, that's the $64 million question. I'm a club DJ, so I'm into dance music of all types. The neat thing about DJing at so many anime conventions is there is many different types of people here as there are colors in the crayon box. So I really get to play a wide variety of music. I can play everything from drum and bass to old new wave music to gothic to industrial to reworkings of old classics. We played a dance mix of Boston's More Than a Feelin' and Heart's Barracuda recently. So, and those are songs that I never thought I would be on a dance floor to. But I really just like to provide a more of a linear form of storytelling with music. So it's really, there's no telling what I'll play on a given night. The one criticism I take a lot is that I don't play a lot of Japanese music, or not music that's recognized as being Japanese. But I do play, like I play the opening from the show Gantz, and I play a lot of video game music. Last night I played the Katamari Damacy opening, and I like a lot of variety. I know as a kid going to dances, I didn't think I ever got to hear the songs I wanted, so it's my goal to try to play a little bit of everything. That way nobody feels totally